Hey, Lane.
Hey,
Hi,
Toby. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Running Lushes video channel. We're here at the Running Lushes bar. And what are you drinking today, Kat?
You know, I'm switching it out a little bit, and I'm drinking cider. This is Angry Orchard. It's actually a rosé hard cider today.
What are you drinking,
I'm
Toby?
drinking a Lagunitas IPA, one of my favorite local breweries.
And I'm also drinking a local brewery, the Sunshine Wheat from New Belgium Brewing Company. So cheers.
Cheers to
Cheers,
that.
guys.
Well, welcome back. We have a very special guest today. This is Toby Silver. He's here to talk about his City Streets project.
First, thanks for having me. And the project, I'm running every street in San Francisco. So
Wow.
the city has over 2,100 streets, and it's over 1,200 miles if you were to knit them all together or stitch
Wow.
them all together. So every alley, every dead end, every street, every inch of every street. That's my project.
And have you run them all yet, or are you still uncovering some new streets?
I am still uncovering some new streets, but
Okay.
I'm about 95% there.
Okay.
So I'm getting close.
Okay, so tell us again how you actually started, this whole project.
Yeah,
When did that
I'd be happy
when
to.
did that
That
happen?
started about 2 years ago as an idea. I was turning 50 2 years ago, and I wanted to do something meaningful with my running. I've been running for quite a long time here in San Francisco, and I've run everything from short distances to long distance. And some of my friends were saying, "Hey, why don't you go run a 50-miler? You're turning 50." And it just didn't speak to me. I'd come out of a cycle of running some ultra races, and I thought a lot about the city and how much it meant to me, and this idea popped up in my head to run all the streets. Having always been grounded, for lack of better words, into the pavement and the dirt of this city through my running, I thought this would be a fun project to do. Hence the 50 shades of pavement. I was turning 50. When we run, if you look down on the ground, it's many different colors. It's not always concrete, it's dirt, it's gravel, and the project came to be.
Well,
Then
I got at it.
I always thought 50 Shades was kind of like a play on 50 Shades of Grey.
yeah, you're going to
That's
have to
sexy-
ask
that's
whether or
sexy.
not you've read those books.
No, so I didn't. And it actually, it occurred to me, and I still don't know what they are. You can tell me what that is.
Well, that's a different episode.
Okay, we'll come back for that one. Like a movie, a book,
But... right.
best of.
So how do you keep track of which streets you run already?
Yeah, great question, Lee. And I use an app called Strava.
Ah.
And Strava is a local company, so we're drinking local beers and talking about local things.
Run local.
Yeah, Run
Drink
Local.
local.
They were founded here in San Francisco. A great group of people, athletes as well. We're all athletes. We're all moving our bodies and sweating. And they have something called a heat map. And with the heat map, it shows you everywhere that you've run.
Oh.
So you can use these heat maps to show you where you run today. You can use them to show you where you ran last year. You can use them to show a geographical area. For me, it's been really helpful to track where I've gone and where I still need to go.
So what of all the neighborhoods you've explored, I know it's probably hard to narrow it down, but
Yes.
what are some of like the neighborhoods that you have really most enjoyed or have created something new for you?
Yeah. So I thought about that before coming to the Running Lushes bar. I was thinking a lot about the Presidio run. So I grew up on a military base, and when I was a kid, I was allowed to run around this military base. And that's a lot of freedom for an 8-year-old to have.
Yes.
Safe times, it's just easy to do. And I would run through streets into people's backyards, through the forest and the like. And the Presidio here, and for those of you who don't know, it's an old military base. It's beautiful. It's actually full of forest, lined with some homes. You can see the Golden Gate Bridge there.
It's beautiful over there.
Yeah, and there's housing areas in there, just like the ones I had growing up. When I run through there, I feel very youthful.
Yeah.
I do already, but I just click into that. Toby's a little kid running around and not needing to be home anytime soon and exploring.
So have you been running most of your life?
Probably no more than any of us here. 2001 was my first marathon. So I guess that's a chunk of my life. Being 52, that's like a third of my life. But I ran as a child. We all have that energy in our body. And I was in the military. We had to run. And I started to like running with groups, which I love that you guys are promoting that group running. But I didn't really find this long distance thing until my 30s.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
which was kind of introduced to me by chance.
Yeah. So,
Couldn't spell marathon back then. I didn't even know what it was.
I'm not sure I can still spell that.
Yeah.
so what are some of the other neighborhoods? So the Presidio
Yeah.
is very unique in that it is more foresty. It's not very city-like.
Exactly.
But are there some other neighborhoods that you...
There are so many neighborhoods. I probably should know how many neighborhoods there are in this city. And then you learn that there's actually like micro neighborhoods.
Right.
And then you learn about all the history of the neighborhood. So your question was, what other neighborhoods do I like?
Yeah.
I like some of the classic neighborhood. I like running in Russian Hill and Nob Hill. They're beautiful. Running in all, again, there's forest in there alongside Nob Hill. You can see and run up to Coit Tower. That's very beautiful.
And very hard.
I
I think there's a theme of hills that we're hearing.
It's the city of many hills.
Yeah.
And then there's been neighborhoods that I didn't know very much about that I really enjoy. Like Visitation Valley is another neighborhood. It's on the southeast side of the city, and it ponies up against the 101 and McLaren Park. Do you guys know McLaren Park?
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit. It's like it's the second biggest park in San Francisco.
I know
and,
it's big. It's kind of far from
many
my
people
house.
don't know of it because it's
Yeah.
just kind of not near the center. And it's a beautiful park. And that neighborhood's funky and cool and lots of hills and
I think
people
they
are
just
friendly.
renovated.
And
They just renovated that park too. I think
They
they did a
did.
big project of renovating that
Yeah.
park.
So I've really enjoyed that neighborhood. And then there's places like I actually like my own. I live in the Richmond district. I like running in the Richmond district. I have enjoyed running in Hunters Point. It's one of the last neighborhoods I have to finish, and I find the people there are just incredibly friendly when I run there.
Nice.
I get lots of like high fives of people out in the streets. Also sunnier part of town.
Yeah.
Mission 2, I lived in the Mission for 10 years, and I
Okay.
think where it's sunnier, there's people out and they're
Right.
cheery and
What's,
what are you doing?
What's been some of the most interesting things that you've seen while you're running
Well,
on the streets?
I'm going to tie this one back.
Besides the, some of San Francisco
this
that
is-
we've got.
Yeah, so I'm going to tie this back to your question. So when you run along the southern border of the city,
Yeah.
which is Daly City is the border, and the border it's actually a straight line, and when you're running down there, you don't know sometimes what city you're in
Right.
Oh.
because it's a straight line. So there are streets that go through where on one side of the street you're in Daly City, and the other side of the city you're in San Francisco.
Right.
So one of the most interesting I've seen is these different sign colors and seeing that it's like Green Street, and on one side it's blue for Daly City, on the other side it's white.
Okay.
I think some
For
of the
San
people
Francisco.
there for
Got
San Francisco have I'm interested. I'm asking when I first started running there, like, what city am I in? And I run at odd times, like 7 a.m, and
Yeah.
here's this guy running on they probably don't get as many people running through there. Like, so I'm doing this project.
Yeah.
Can you help me? Let me know. Am I in San Francisco? I don't know. I see a lot of old cars. I grew up in a family having old cars.
Okay.
Because the cars that we see now are the cars that my family had
Right.
driving when I was a kid. When I was 17, I had a 72 Dodge Charger.
Oh, I remember the Charger.
And all my friends had cool muscle cars.
I love Chargers too.
Aren't they
I'm with
great
you.
cars?
Yes.
Yeah. Or cool little Beetles and the like. My
Yeah.
family, we had a lot of German cars in our family. So when I see them, I get nostalgic about them.
Yeah.
And I think the city and the Victorian architecture and the varied architecture, it's a nice backdrop for these old cars.
Right.
And I take a lot of snaps of these vehicles along the way.
Are there any correlations between types of cars and neighborhoods that you were able to notice?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I've noticed in neighborhoods where this is why I think I see more old cars in some neighborhoods. That these neighborhoods remain neighborhoods that families are still residing there.
That makes sense.
Not
Okay.
as much turnover. So there are some neighborhoods like Visitation Valley, for instance, or running down in Ingleside or in Hunters Point. See lots of old cars.
Okay.
I think that's the reason for it. 'Cause
Okay.
I think those cars are actually the people that live in those houses
Yeah.
own those cars.
Right. Okay.
So, as you've been running, have there ever been times that you felt unsafe in any of the neighborhoods, or do you feel like it's mostly a positive experience in San Francisco?
Yeah. There's only been a couple times. I think it's a safe city. I lived in Philadelphia before I moved here, and feel like I'm pretty street savvy and city savvy, and I felt I always feel pretty safe here. I've had a couple times running in the city. As you both know,
Yeah.
our city, like many major cities, has some issues with drug use.
Yes.
Right.
And I've been in some parts of the city, and I feel like maybe I'm being a little disrespectful of coming into people's spaces when you're running into some of these dead ends and some of these neighborhoods. These are people's homes that you're running
Right.
into.
Yeah.
So coming into those places and trying to be running on the side,
Yeah.
getting out of the way, where I've had some people kind of not so welcoming
Right.
to me.
Uh-huh.
And then some kind of nutty people. One guy was juggling, what do you call them? Nunchucks? What do you
Oh,
call them?
yeah.
right.
I think he was like juggling them, and then he was using them. But I don't even think he saw me.
That's pretty
But
cool.
I think
Yeah.
being in his proximity felt a little
Yeah.
dangerous to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some of San Francisco streets are really just alleys. It kind of reminded me when you said that, you know, you're running kind of in a dead end and it's into these people's basically front yard. But some of the streets in San Francisco are not real streets. They're just kind of alleys. And so how do you find those? Are those on maps too? And tell us about running through those little...
Yeah, some of them are on maps, and so I study maps. Which that could be another whole topic
Right.
in itself. And some of them you just stumble upon. It really
Right.
is. You're running in some neighborhoods, and then you'll see a little alleyway, and then I take them. That's just how I like to run. Running is exploring. I like running because I can explore.
Yeah.
Then you'll take it, just curious where it goes, and some of them will like end up in another neighborhood, or
Right.
end up in a forest, or dead end.
Right.
You don't know. Lots of steps as well. A lot of
I
these
was going to ask
streets
you about
are
the steps.
The
Yeah.
hidden steps.
lots of there's
Lots.
the hidden steps are beautiful steps. I think
Right.
you're talking about the ones on 16th Street.
Just up the street.
Up
No,
the
that's 16th Avenue. Just
16th,
up the,
pardon, 16th Avenue. We're in the avenues now.
Yeah.
And the mosaic tiled steps, they're gorgeous. There are so many types of stairways in San Francisco.
Yes.
That are also throughways into neighborhoods, because
Right.
long before we had all these streets, there were probably more of these steps than there were streets.
Yeah, they're kind of alleys of sorts, I guess. Pedestrian alleys, just.
Yeah.
But then it kind of gets back into the hill running. So tell us a little bit about, you know, there's so much variation. Obviously, San Francisco is very hilly, but there's a lot of variation. There's hills, and then there's some flat. There's a lot of downhill. Like,
It's been great. So
and how
I
to train for that.
Yeah, I think I think we're creatures of adaptation as humans. So no
Yeah.
matter where we are or live, we're going to adapt to what's around us.
Yeah.
So if we live in the desert, you see these great stories of people, what they accomplish just living in the desert or living in cold spaces. And for San Francisco, as Kat said, it's very hilly, and
very hilly.
Very, very,
Very.
hilly.
Very hilly.
It's almost like people might not even understand how hilly it is.
Yeah.
It's not just a series of a couple peaks. It's just a rolling, like connected bunch of valleys and peaks. And some of the hills don't look as big, but when you're living in the neighborhoods and you're running a block or two, you realize that you're climbing often a couple hundred feet in just a matter of a couple blocks. So I've been in the city a while, so I feel like I'm a little bit of a mountain goat from living here and running in the city. So you become your inner animal.
Yeah.
And mountain goat's one of the ones I like to consider myself, because
Yeah.
they seem to really love being on the mountain, and they look at ease.
So you said you're about 95%
Yes.
finished with San Francisco. So what's the 5% left, do you think? And then after, what's next?
Yeah, I can tell you what's left right now. There's a neighborhood in the city called Mission Bay. You might need to help me
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that it's a very small neighborhood. I think I've done maybe one or two streets just running through there. I need to do Mission Bay.
Okay.
I have a little bit of Hunters Point left to do.
So it's really interesting to hear you talk about this, because a lot of people think of San Francisco as being geographically a really small city, because it's really, 7 by 7?
7 by 7, yeah.
So 7
by
miles.
7 miles.
Right.
Yeah.
But the fact that you described how many actual miles there are to run speaks to sort of the density of the city,
Yes, right. We live in one of the most dense
Okay.
populated places in the United States.
Right.
And because of all the topographical makeup of our city, we're not laid out like a plane. I think my sister lives in Oklahoma City, and it's this way, right? You can
Right.
it's straight and then there's streets that cross in
Yes,
San
of the grid.
Francisco. It's not like that at all. There's lots of winding streets, and it makes for a little challenge in organizing, getting
Right.
through this project.
Right.
But for me, my goal wasn't to do this project overnight, and
Yeah.
my mind doesn't work to organize around things that are explorative to me, so it's actually worked for me. I'm
Yeah.
almost glad that the city's this way versus being straight and flat and predictable. It's been nice to stumble upon things.
So for our viewers that aren't in San Francisco, if they were to come in San Francisco and want to do a run, where would you recommend they go?
You guys know what I'm going to say. Some of the classics, and then you might know because you've been running with me for a while. So do the classics. Go down to Crissy Field and run from Crissy Field to the Golden Gate Bridge. It's beautiful. It's flat
Right.
for the most part, except
for
for
that
the
hill.
ascent to the bridge, which you'll feel accomplished to do.
It's real.
Yeah, Golden Gate Park is an amazing, wonderful place to run. Also fairly flat. You can run 3 miles east and west, and it'll take you to the ocean. 2 great places. And then there's places I've taken some of you out to run on, like right in the middle of the city. There's this place called Sutro Forest,
Yes.
which is gorgeous. You're in this eucalyptus forest that it's kind of like a fairy tale in there. It's you get lost, and it's not the biggest of forests, but you would not know that being in it.
Right.
Very hilly.
Yeah.
It's a workout, and it's gorgeous. I'm going to share a little. You guys are special. I'm going to share a little secret. There are plum trees that grow in Sutro Forest, and this is now actually a very good time to go.
Oh, okay.
And so you can forage these plums and eat them. And my wife has made really good plum cake from the
Yum.
plums of Sutro Forest.
Secret.
Yeah.
Don't share with that.
You may enjoy them. It's June, right? We're
Right.
getting
Yeah,
summer.
June.
This is the time of year where they're starting to. The trees are starting to bear the fruit.
Great.
It's really interesting because when we first started talking, we were talking about a lot of the urban areas, but the ones that you mentioned are really actually more of the areas that feel more forested or for a little bit more like people wouldn't expect to be in San Francisco. So there's a lot to do here.
lot of-
Yes.
Well, thank you for coming by, Toby.
You're very welcome. Thanks
yes.
for having me.
Again, it's 50 Shades of Pavement on Instagram, and then and we're going to track your progress on Strava.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me. Cheers, everybody.
Thanks. Cheers.